Alrighty guys, welcome back to your remote learning experience. Alright, this lesson is going to be for Monday, March 30th. Okay, just a couple of housekeeping items. I'm sure you guys have heard that we are going to be extending our remote learning to May 4th, I believe it is. Originally, we were going to go till April 3rd, kind of see how it was going to go. But unfortunately, we are still going to be doing remote learning. And I shouldn't say unfortunately because this is a great opportunity for us to still learn, and we're still able to kind of get together virtually and learn their stuff still. Even though I much rather would be in our classroom, despite how dysfunctional it can be sometimes, I would much rather be there with you guys than kind of sitting at home in my apartment. But anyways, we are going to move on and move forward. Another thing that I'm going to be doing starting this week is offering office hours through Zoom, which is an app that is a lot like Facebook or Skype. And those are going to be on Wednesdays from 1 to 2. I'm going to send you guys a link, and I'll also send it to your families. And all you have to do is click on the link, and you can kind of zoom in with me. You'll be able to see me, I'll be able to see you. And then um, you'll be able to ask me any questions that you have. So I have it scheduled for an hour on Wednesdays from 1 to 2. You can stay for the full hour if you want, but you absolutely don't have to. If you only just have one question, then you need to leave, then that's absolutely fine. It's really kind of up to you and what you want out of it. So hopefully that will be helpful moving forward, especially since we'll be doing this for about another month or so. But for now, we are going to keep moving onward and upward. Okay? So, this lesson today is going to be filling in some of these answers for our new unit, which is on sexual reproduction and meiosis. Okay? So, we just finished a unit on mitosis. Okay? Oops, hang on. Ooh, what is wrong with my mouse? No, stop doing that. I just got a new tool that I can draw with, so it might be glitchy at times, but we just kind of wrapped up a unit on mitosis. Hello? Did I not just say I wanted to draw? Can I only draw over here? Ah, I can only draw over here. Got it. Well, anyways, we just wrapped up a unit on mitosis, which is a process that helps produce our body cells, okay? So if you have a cut on your hand and you need some new skin cells so that your cut can kind of heal, you would use, or your body uses a process called mitosis, okay? And that helps produce body cells. So I'm going to write that right up here as that mitosis is for body cells. Okay? But now we're moving on to a unit that talks about meiosis, okay? A little bit confusing with the names. I don't know whose idea it was to do that. But meiosis is a little bit different because it doesn't produce body cells. It actually produces your reproductive cells or your sex cells. So it produces sperm and egg cells. So throughout this unit, we're going to learn about meiosis and how it works, what's interesting about meiosis, why it's kind of the advantages of meiosis, maybe some of the disadvantages and things like that, okay? But we're not going to talk about this whole thing today because we're going to go up from A to C today because I want to save this for tomorrow, because tomorrow we're going to really dive in deep to the phases of meiosis and what actually happens, because I want to go a little more in depth with that. But today I just kind of want to talk about what happens during meiosis in terms of chromosomes, okay? So to start off, we are going to briefly discuss sexual reproduction, okay, which is actually the answer for this very first line, okay? So I'm going to try to write that right here. Sexual reproduction. See, sometimes this thing is a little bit fidgety. Sexual reproduction, okay? And that is a process that produces offspring, okay? It's a process that humans use to reproduce, and it happens when genetic material or your DNA from different sex cells combine, okay? And those sex cells are going to be your sperm cells and egg cells, okay? Sperm cells in males, egg cells in humans, okay? I mean, in humans and females. So the female sex cell is called an egg, okay? And it forms in a structure in females called an ovary, okay? And then the male sex cell is known as sperm. So I'm sure you've heard of these two terms before, okay? But we have egg and sperm. And the sperm forms in a structure in males called the testis, okay? So those two cells are going to combine during fertilization. So an egg cell kind of just looks like this. It's a nice circle. Then we have a sperm cell like that. All right. And that kind of process is what is going to produce offspring in humans. Okay. So during a process, or this kind of combination of egg cell and sperm cell is called fertilization. No, I did not want that. Okay? And that's what happens when an egg cell and a sperm cell kind of join together. And the new cell that forms from fertilization is called a zygote. So that eventually is going to become the human baby. In humans, obviously. Okay? So that's kind of just a brief overview of sexual reproduction and the reproductive cells in males and females. Okay? So moving on to kind of chromosomes, which is being introduced in part B. Okay? In part B, we're going to be talking about diploid cells. Okay? An important thing to note here is that the prefix di or di means two. Okay? So I'll get to this in just a moment. But organisms that reproduce sexually make two kinds of cells, all right? So humans, for example, we make body cells and we make sex cells. So that body cell an example could be a skin cell, it could be a hair cell, it could be a stomach cell, a liver cell. So any of those cells are considered body cells, and they're also considered diploid cells. And the reason they're called diploid is, remember I just mentioned that di means two. That's because they have pairs of chromosomes, okay? So in your cells, you kind of have two pairs of chromosomes. So if I have cell right here, remember each body cell is going to have 46 chromosomes, all right? But those body cells, they have pairs of chromosomes. All right, and those pairs of chromosomes kind of look like this. So I have a pair right there, and I have a pair right there. And when I have 23 pairs, I'm going to have those 46 chromosomes total, okay? So it's just kind of like they have an extra copy, you know, just in case kind of thing, all right? But what can happen is if a zygote has too many or too few of the chromosomes, they may not develop properly. So sometimes there is a condition that is called Down syndrome, which I'm sure you have heard before, and that happens when you have one extra chromosome in your cells, okay? And so what can happen is there can be some developmental abnormalities. So that is just one result of what happens when there are too many or too few chromosomes, all right? That just means you have a little extra DNA. So nothing wrong with that. All right. The next part is that not all species have the same number of chromosomes, okay? So humans happen to have 46 chromosomes, but there are different numbers of chromosomes depending on the species. Okay, so some species have as few as 6 chromosomes, and some species have over 300 chromosomes. So it kind of just depends, but humans, we have 46 chromosomes in our body cells, okay? Remember, that is just our body cells, all right? And so, as I mentioned earlier, these chromosomes will pair up with one another because they're very similar, okay? So I have 2 big chromosomes right here, 2 little chromosomes right here. Remember, I'm going to have 46 total. So right now I only have 4 chromosomes, and there are 2 pairs. There's a pair right here and a pair right here, but I would have 23 pairs or 46 chromosomes total, okay? And the chromosomes that are kind of similar to one another, like these 2 tall ones and these 2 small ones, are called homologous chromosomes. Why is it like that? Hang on a second. Malfunction. We love technology, don't we? All right. Goodness. This is so frustrating sometimes. Don't worry, we will get there. So these are homologous chromosomes. I'm just going to write CROM for short. I just spent a lot of time trying to fix that. All right, and these are the pairs of chromosomes, and they're similar to each other in that they have similar genes, okay? And genes are just sections on your chromosomes that code for specific traits, okay? So for example, you might have a gene for hair color, you might have a gene for eye color, right? And homologous chromosomes have similar genes to one another, which is why they kind of pair up, okay? So that's going to do it for diploid cells, but now I want to talk about haploid cells, and that will be our end of our lesson today, okay? So when you think of haploid cells, think of the HA right here for half, okay? So I would write that down on your paper if I were you, okay? So I'll get to this in a minute, but your reproductive cells or the sex cells are haploid because they only have 1 chromosome from each pair of chromosomes, all right? So they have half of the genetic information that your body cell would have, okay? So if you guys remember up here, I had a cell that had pairs of chromosomes. In this case, those body cells, they're only going to have half of that genetic information. So instead of having 2 big ones and 2 small ones, I have 1 big one and 1 small one in here, okay? And I would only have 23 total, okay? I would have 46 total up here, but here, whoops, I only have 23, okay? So they just have 1 chromosome from each pair. So this sex cell might have that pair, and this sex cell might have another pair, just like that, okay? But then we get to a process called meiosis, which is what produces these sex cells, okay? And in this case, you have 1 diploid cell, okay? Remember, diploid meaning it has those 46 chromosomes, and it divides to make 4 haploid cells, or 4 cells with 23 chromosomes. So originally I would start with a diploid cell with 46 chromosomes, and eventually it makes 4 haploid cells. And each of those cells only has 23 chromosomes, okay? So 23 chromosomes, okay? So that's the reason why these sex cells have half of the amount of genetic information is because when they combine, they will form a cell that has 46 chromosomes, okay? So that's important because if I have an egg cell that's haploid and it has 23 chromosomes, all right, and I have a sperm cell, that's not a very good drawing. You guys know how good I am at drawing. Just kidding. The sperm cell also has 23 chromosomes. That means when they combine, they will form a zygote, which will eventually become a baby that has those 46 chromosomes. Okay, so there's definitely a method behind all this madness. Like, why would a cell want to reproduce and form 4 new cells? That's because it needs to have half of the genetic information so that when it combines with another sex cell, it will form a baby that has those 46 chromosomes. Okay? So that's kind of just a brief overview of sexual reproduction and meiosis. And tomorrow we are going to get into the actual phases of meiosis. And tomorrow we're also going to be comparing mitosis and meiosis, why meiosis is important, and also talking about advantages and disadvantages of sexual reproduction. Okay? So just remember that my office hours for you guys are going to start on Wednesday, and that's going to be from 1 to 2 p.m. So just check in anytime if you'd like, and you can ask me any questions that you want, okay? Mostly science related questions, please. But yeah, come ready with questions if you have some about some of the assignments that we've been doing. So I hope that you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will look forward to seeing you guys very soon.